In podcast form without Emma again. This time I have Nicole.
Emma's replacement. I'm just kidding.
Her permanent replacement, you know? It's not because Emma is out of town. That's not it.
For a month.
Yeah, for a month. Emma left me. But yeah, so we always start off with having a couple little questiones, and nobody knows Nicole yet. So we're gonna ask a couple questions. So the first question that I always ask anybody here is like your name, your pronouns, and usually your Hogwarts house. But you said that you want to keep that a secret until the end.
The end.
Okay. So just name and pronouns then.
Well, my name is Nicole. My pronouns are she, her. And that will be a mystery. You guys try to figure it out.
Yeah, you guys have to figure out what house Nicole is in before the end of the thing, which means that you have to go to YouTube and you have to comment.
Yeah.
Either that or like leave a review on this episode.
I was like forced to take the test, I think in like 9th grade in the basement of a YMCA.
Why in the basement?
I was having like a lockdown for like, not like a scary lockdown. Oh no, a lock-in. A lock-in.
Oh, a lock-in. Okay.
Not public school.
Not public school.
And yeah, they were like, take it, it's Harry Potter themed. And I was like, okay. So I took it.
That's kind of fun. Yeah, so basically what is do you have any background about Harry Potter? Like how much do you know? Tell the people.
So I've seen the first movie and about like half of the second movie, and that's it. And I'm sorry, please don't flame me. One of my best friends, she just continually flames me, and her mom does too. And it's unfortunate.
That's so mean.
It's well, I mean, it's kind of deserved. I haven't seen like anything.
Yeah.
So.
Honestly, yeah. Somebody
Ron
asked me
Weasley.
that. They're like, "Why are you friends with her if she's never seen it?" I was like, "I do have other friends." Like, whoa, let's calm down.
I know that
there's
somebody named Dudley in that, and that is my last name. So,
we're gonna give away last names here. I don't give away last names.
My Instagram's already public. So
yeah, whoops. Anyway, but yeah, that's kind of fun and funky then. But yeah, Dudley Dursley, he's kind of the worst. So sorry about that. That is honestly kind of what I associated you with when I first.
We were like 7.
I was reading the first book when I met you, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, we go so far back.
Anyway.
So back.
But yeah, that was another question. How long have we known each other since like 2nd grade? Question mark?
Yeah.
Yep, seems pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of fun. So yeah, now we're gonna get into like some more specific questions. Somebody asked you, based off of your very limited knowledge of Harry Potter characters, who do you think I would be in Harry Potter? Yes. Just go for it. You don't have to answer. But
okay. You know when they're playing like Quidditch or whatever?
I do know when they're playing Quidditch.
You are the broomstick.
Oh my gosh!
You can drive, having the time of your life.
Okay, so there's 4 like main Marauders characters, okay?
Lily.
Lily is not one of them. I talk
Sirius.
about her a lot. Yeah, Sirius.
Remus.
Yes.
Okay.
I just told you this other guy's name.
Well, James, but if
James.
Lily's not 1, then how is James 1?
Because James is 1.
But how is Lily not 1?
I'll tell that it's about to come up.
Okay. Is there a girl?
No.
Of course there's not.
J.K. Rowling wrote this. Okay.
Yeah. What does it start with?
P.
Remus.
No. It is indeed Peter. She said Primus. No. Okay. So there's those 4. How do I explain this? They can turn into different animals. Okay, just stay with me here for a second. So, which one of them, in your opinion, is the rat?
James.
Okay, sure. The dog.
Remus.
Okay. The werewolf. Peter's a werewolf. Okay, and the stag. Which one did you not say? Sirius is a stag. Okay, we're gonna go with that. That's none of those are right.
Yeah, they're gonna flame me. I'm not gonna flame you.
I think it's really funny. I like it.
Come from my family.
I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, so this is somebody. I feel like we've already answered this by you just not knowing anything. But do I talk about the Marauders when like outside of this? Like, do I talk
only
about
your like account or like, oh, I have to edit this video, or like, oh, I'm posting a video, or
I'm so cringy.
I just got 30,000 views on this video.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I ever put you through that. That sounds awful.
Don't be sorry.
Okay, thank you. Let's dive into this. So to give you a little bit of background, so you know Lily for sure. That's like the only person you're confident about.
She's the mother.
Yes. Good on you for knowing that. But basically, so Lily, obviously this is like in their teenage years, like this is when everything is set. So Lily was friends with Julie and Mary. Okay? They were three besties. And then Lily hates all of the Marauders, which are like, you know, those four guys. She hates them. Dislikes them.
Okay.
She hates them. Not fun. Okay. Because Lily is friends with Snape, and they kind of bully Snape.
He's in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's in Harry Potter.
Yes, he is in Harry Potter. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So she's friends with like Snape and stuff, but like they don't like Snape, and so she doesn't like them, but like she's also friends with these other people. And then Julie started to date Peter, and so it was like drama because like, ooh, like, you know, that whole thing is happening.
Julie and Mary though, do they like hate them too, or is it just like Lily?
Mostly Lily, but like in previous years they've been like, oh, like, yeah, you're right, they're so annoying and stuff like that. But then Julie's like, whoops, dating Peter, you know? So it's like it's kind of that whole like trio friendship is kind of weird at this moment in time. But Mary gave Julie advice in the last episode to be like, hey, why don't you just like stop being friends with both of them for a little bit, because there's been a lot of drama and y'all just need to chill and like just be yourself for a little bit. That's kind of where we're at. And I think that's all you need to know before we're getting started with this. But anyway, so yeah. So we start off, we open up the first scene. You're like setting the
spotlight,
stage.
downstage right.
You're such a theater kid. My gosh. But so yeah, we're starting off and it's like Peter and Julie are like having their little relationship-y moments. But they just keep on being interrupted by James, who is aggressively trying to talk to Julie because plot twist, this isn't a plot twist at all. James has the biggest crush on Lily, even though she hates him.
Oh my gosh.
And so he's like, Julie, what are your thoughts on me flirting with her? What is like the best way to go about it? And she's like, I don't like Lily at this moment in time, dude. She's like, what is happening here? And he just like keeps on doing it. And it's like very much the thing where like, they're trying to do this. He interrupts them, and Peter is like, you know what? Why don't we have something to do over here? You know, we should probably go. And James is like, oh, don't worry, I'll follow you guys. Like, it's chill. Like, it's that kind of thing is happening. So that's a little awkward. But whenever this happens, Remus and Sirius get a little bit more alone time because James is just constantly bothering Peter. Are you already so excited for this? If you're not watching on YouTube, she just pointed down to her Rachel Ballinger merch shirt. She's already excited for this relationship.
Oh, you confirmed it.
Okay. Anyway, but so they're getting like a little bit more alone time. And Sirius kind of confronts Remus about the fact that Remus has been avoiding Sirius a little bit.
Not the repressed feeling.
But yeah, so you're like, oh, I've never experienced this. I'm gonna have to edit this so much.
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
It's funny.
Okay. Nicole has never been through anything like this ever in her life. Anyway.
Not once.
Not even once. But anyway, but Remus is like, what? Like, dude, I haven't been avoiding you. What do you mean? Like,
I would never do that.
Everything is totally normal. And Sirius is like, okay, but like you totally have been. And Remus kind of realizes that he's like, okay, yeah, I definitely have been. But like every time they're alone together, Remus is like, you know, so it's
yes,
it's a little difficult. It's a little difficult, you know. Yeah. You get it. I do. I'm so sorry. But yeah, okay. So next scene. that is a short scene. So now it's like Lily and Mary, they're kind of vibing, they're talking and stuff like that. So Lily, as I've said, has been pretty good about like not hanging out with either Julie or Snape, and she's like so much more relaxed. She's like, wow, there's like no drama here. Like, this is kind of nice, not gonna lie. She's living her best life. But they've started to hang out with like a total like just hodgepodge group of just like a lot of people, and it like started as a study group and then it just kind of turned into like something else. So there's just a lot of people. I'm just gonna name some names.
Okay.
They might come up later, probably not in this episode though. So there's like Charlotte West, and she's a Hufflepuff 4th year. Harper Morgenstern, she's a Hufflepuff 5th year. She's also a prefect. Anyway, so Laura Meadows is a Hufflepuff 5th year. Aisha Simmons is a Slytherin 5th year prefect, and Amory Smith is a 6th year Gryffindor. You will definitely hear about her again. Along with, oh wait, no, you won't hear about this person anyway. And also Naomi Henstridge, she's a Ravenclaw 6th year, and Benji Fenwick is a Hufflepuff 7th year. So like it started off as like a Hufflepuff study group, and then just like
expanded.
Then just like people are there now,
like,
you know?
Okay, it is what it is.
And it's just like a fun, funky group, and like people are always kind of coming and going, but there's like always kind of a base group of people there. It's just like we love them, you know? And there's just like exactly what Lily needed at that moment in time, where it's like no drama, just chill vibes, and like they're all funny, and like every time they go to study there's just like an aggressive amount of food. It's just great, you know?
That sounds like so much fun.
I know.
It's like an ant farm when they had like the hot wings club.
What? No.
When like Fletcher and China's brother had like a hot wings club.
I do not remember this. That is fantastic though.
It is.
But no, so it's like one of those things where like Lily doesn't have like anything in common with any of these people, but she's like, love it though. It's so great. So anyway, so that's fun. But so yes, because she was hanging out with them, she missed a Thursday night. Now you don't know this, but in previous years, or not in previous years, in previous episodes, Thursday nights are when Lily and Snape kind of hang out because they're in different houses, and so it's like a time when they just, you know, kind of get together. She just totally basically ditched him unintentionally because she was hanging out with these other people. So Snape, we hate Snape. 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
Dislike this man.
Come on. I mean, I remembered him from
from movie 1. You know this. Okay, but anyway, so Snape confronts Lily about it, and she's like, listen, I'm so sorry, I forgot. And he's like, what are you doing that like made you forget about me? And she's like, well, I kind of do have some new friends. And this bullet point just says, and whoops, Snape manipulates her. Whoops. Anyway,
oopsie, silly goofy mood.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just in a silly goofy mood. Anyway, but he's like, so why are you hanging out with them? They're not your real friends. I'm your real friend because like I've been with you since the beginning, blah blah blah. And for the first time, Lily is like, oh, he's a bad person.
Yes. Period, Lily.
And she's like, oh shoot. And so then she kind of starts to go off on him. She's like, you don't get to dictate who I'm like hanging out with and who my friends are, buddy.
She should. Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, like this is not, these are people. She's like, this isn't like me hanging out with the Marauders or something, like people that hate you and that bully you or whatever. This is like me just hanging out with other people.
So maybe she hates them in the first place because of him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like a whole, anyway, sorry, I probably didn't explain that well. But anyway, she's like, yeah, I get to hang out with whoever I want, like blah blah blah. And she's like, you know what, you need a break from me too. Like, I'm taking a break from you, you need a break from me too, because like, what the heck are you even thinking at this point, dude? And so he apologizes, but to his surprise, that doesn't make it better. He's kind of shook about that.
Okay.
He's like, wait, what? But he's like, so you're just ditching me just like that?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, we're still friends, but we need a little break here. We need some space. Yeah, and it says, yeah, Snape is so shook and Mary is so proud. Because Mary's like, finally, I get some peace and quiet. She freaking does not like Snape. Anyway.
Oh, good.
But yeah, so the next scene, this is when things start getting interesting. So the next day, they like go down to the Great Hall and they're like having breakfast, and Snape from across the hall is like staring down Lily. He's like angry, you know, he's like, and she's like, dude, like calm down. Yeah, just like that. And so she's like, okay, so we're not going to do that. And so she and Mary like kind of get their whole group and they decide that they're going to go like eat in the library instead. So they do that. It's a fun little time. They're hanging out. They're like hanging out. Yes, they're hanging out all throughout breakfast. And then like after breakfast, not everybody has like a first class, and like Lily and Remus do not, because then they, there's different electives, but the electives are at different times because it's like Hogwarts. There's not that many like teachers and schedules and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, so a couple of people in the group are staying there, including Lily after breakfast, but a couple of people leave. And then Lily realizes that Remus is across the library. And she's like, oh, like I should invite him to hang out over here, because
it'll be a vibe.
Although she hates the Marauders, she's been like secretly friends with Remus this whole time because they're actually like besties.
Seriously?
Yes. I'm so sorry. This is so complicated for you.
All of them.
I'm so sorry. I should have mentioned that. She hates them all except for Remus, but like as a group she hates them, but like Remus alone, like she's alone. Like you're chill.
Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah.
But nobody knows about that. But she's like, you know what? I feel like these people would be chill enough that like I could tell them that we were friends and they like wouldn't say anything. Like they're a chill group of people. So she's like, maybe I should go. Just anyway. So she's like, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna invite him over. It's gonna be a vibe. And then like right as she's walking over, Sirius walks into the library and like walks up to Remus. Yes. And so he walks up and she's like, oh shoot, like I'm not friends with Sirius. I'm gonna like back up. And so she's like kind of behind the bookshelf and like she can see what's happening, but like they don't really notice her type of thing. And so she unintentionally like spies on this entire conversation that's about to go down. Okay. So Sirius walks in. He's like, Remus, where have you been? I've like been looking for you everywhere. Why weren't you at breakfast? I'm like a little worried about you type of thing. And Remus is like, oh, like, sorry, I'm not really in the mood to like talk to people today. Like, it's just not the vibes, And he's like, okay. And so Sirius is like, are you sure you're okay? And Remus is like, yeah, I'm all good. You should probably leave before you miss divination, which is the class that Sirius has next. Okay. And so Lily's like, oh, sweet. So he's going to leave. So she like stays there for a second longer because she's like, oh yeah, he's about to leave and then I'll go ask him. And then Sirius is like, nah, I'm going to skip today. Uh-oh. And Remus is like, why? I thought you liked divination. And he said, I'd just rather be with you. But like he says it like the Sirius Black demeanor is like leather jacket vibes, and so it's like the like I'd rather be with you, but like Remus is like what the frick does that mean, like what is going on here type of thing. Like he's a little anyway, so he's kind of freaking out.
Gay panic gay.
Yeah, a little bit. And then so right when Sirius says that, Remus like just looks away. He's just like, I can't deal with this, but he happens to look like right where Lily can see his face, and she sees that he has turned like bright red. Aww. And she's like, oh my gosh. And like it all clicks for her and she's like, holy crap, this is a thing. And she's like, what?
That is so clever. Okay.
And then anyway, so Remus is like, clears his throat and he's like, well, I'm still not really feeling like talking. Sorry about that. Like that's not going to change. And Sirius is like, not a problem. And he's like, I also don't feel like listening to you talk for hours, which I know is about to happen. And he's like, oh my gosh. Sirius is a talkative person. And he's like, Sirius is like, okay, it's a library. Just give me a good book and I'll just read it. And so then they go and they sit down and they just read for like the next hour. And Sirius, who is like the most like talkative, like, are you okay?
This was so cute.
I'm glad you like it.
Yes.
But no, so they just like kind of go and sit, and it's like Remus is like absolutely losing his mind. And from the outside, Sirius seems like totally chill. He's probably also losing his mind at this moment in time. But so yeah, that's all happening. And Lily is like, what am I witnessing?
And she's just still there, just like,
she's like, what? And she's like still behind the bookshelf.
Like, what if she like fell or like sneezed or something?
That'd be so awkward. But anyway, so she's like shook, but then she's like, she comes to her senses and she's like, okay, I've definitely been spying on these people and I should just leave. So she does. But she like makes sure that from where she's sitting across the library that she can like see them because she's still invested in the tea. She's like, I want to know what's up. And
she's
like,
hang on, I shouldn't be spying. But,
she's like, but I'm gonna keep on spying. But Sirius stays next to him the whole time. Like, he just stays there reading this book, which is not something that he does. And Remus is like, what is happening here? Anyway, it's very cute, very fun.
Yes.
Situation.
It's so annoying when like you do something that you don't do because you're hanging out with somebody that like you like. Okay. For me, that was actually watching Harry Potter.
No, but that's usually Sirius. So like that's why he's so surprised that he's like reading this book, because it's he knows it takes a lot of concentration. Anyway, the next scene, Remus and Lily both have arithmancy next. So she's like, they go, and when they have seats next to each other, which is how they became friends in the first place. And she's like, so I saw you in the library this morning. And he's like, oh, you did? He's like 1,000% preoccupied, not really paying attention to this conversation.
Oh, cool.
He's like, he's like, that's cool. And she's like, I didn't know that Sirius, could read for that long. And he's like, oh yeah, he does that sometimes. And he's just like, sometimes, still not there. And so yeah, this man is just thinking about everything that just happened. He's like, he sat there and he read the book and he said that he would rather be with me than going with class. And I'm not sure how I'm feeling about any of this. Well, he is sure, but but yeah, he's got it bad. But Lily's like, okay, that's fine. And she just basically talks to a blank wall for the rest of the class because that man is not paying attention.
Focus on something else.
Yeah, and she very much knows that, but then she's trying to figure out how to like bring this up to him, because it's also like the 1970s, so like yeah, it's not great. And so she's trying to figure out how to bring this up to him without like literally freaking him out, blah blah blah. So she's like, okay, why don't we like finish our essays together tomorrow night, before we do like our prefect duties and like go and like do our rounds around the school, blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So yeah, there's that. And then we get a little next scene. But James and Sirius go and they play Quidditch while they're on their little break.
The broom.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so they go and like play Quidditch on their break. Like that's just kind of what they do. And it's like because they were all supposed to be in divination together, and so like this is their break, since anyway, makes sense in my head. But he's like, yes. So James is like, so Sirius, like, where were you? Like you weren't in divination. Bestie, where'd you go?
Walking my fish
dog. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. No, but he tells him, he's like, yeah, I went to go find Remus, and we just kind of chilled in the library. And I said in this bullet point, Sirius does not seem to realize how out of character this is for him. And James is like, was he okay? Like, why were you there, dude? Right. What was happening?
Anything special?
Yeah. And for reference, like this is happening right around the full moon, and you did get this wrong. Remus is in fact the werewolf.
Okay.
And so like that's what kind of why Sirius was checking in on him in the first place, because it's like kind of getting up to the full moon. Sometimes he's a little iffy at that moment in time.
Did I say it was the werewolf?
You said that Peter was the werewolf. But yeah, so that's like kind of one reason. So he was like, yeah, I was going to check on him and like make sure that he was all good. He just, needed some space, whatever, but like whatever. And Sirius was also like, yeah, but like he's been pretty weird recently. Have you noticed that? Or is that like just a me thing?
Like, a little off,
he's just like, he doesn't talk to me very much anymore, and I'm getting a little concerned with that. And James is like, yeah, but like, I don't know. But he's like, yeah, but like we literally just became animagi for him, so like it makes sense. He's a little worried about us. He doesn't feel like he can like complain about him being a werewolf anymore and stuff like that. And Sirius is like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And James also points out, he's like, also, you two have like always been the closest. So like, I don't know, if there's ever like a rift thing happening, I feel like you would feel it the most, type of thing. And Sirius is like, he said we were the closest. No. But anyway, so they just are all kind of talking about this, and like, I don't know. I also wrote, James is okay at other people's feelings, but his own, no. Which is true. James is one of those kinds of people. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, it's at this point when they're having like this kind of heart-to-heart conversation while they're like getting ready and about to play Quidditch and stuff like that. When Peter, followed quickly by Julia, are like booking it onto the field, cursing them out because James definitely put a spell that they themselves invented on Peter that made his mouth taste terrible to other people, and Julia had just found out the hard way. Those are the vibes of this whole friendship dynamic group.
This episode is rated PG-13.
They kissed. It's okay. I just feel like that's so funny.
You just said it, so. Oh my god.
Now it's rated R.
I mean, we've gone for X.
Oh my gosh. Oh my word. But anyway, so like that's just the dynamic of that group. I just needed a fun little moment in there. But anyway, so it's scene 6. So they're working on their essays, Remus and Lily. And so also like the Marauders have found all of these like secret passageways inside Hogwarts and stuff like that.
Sorry, I just did typing like essays.
They use quills, bestie. They use quills.
That's why I was like, wait.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. That's so funny. But no, so they're like, you know, fixing them up, working on them together, and they are like in like a little secret passageway so that because, you know, their friendship's a secret type of thing and stuff like that. But it's like it's not a big deal. It's just kind of where they hang out. But anyway, so Remus is not Remus. Why do I get them confused? Anyway, Lily has figured out her master plan to like let Remus confirm or deny, basically.
Right, like bring it up.
Yeah. So she's like, she doesn't want to call him out. That she feels like that would not end very well. So she's like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Literally. So she's like, she decides to tell him, she's like, you know, you remind me of this guy that I knew last summer named Tommy. And he's like a muggle, like he's not a wizard or whatever. And she's like, just talking about him. She's like, yeah, like he loved books and stuff like that. I've always wanted to tell you how much you remind me of Tommy. And he's like, And then she's like, you know, everybody thought that we were actually dating, like me and Tommy, but like that never would have worked out. And Remus is like barely paying attention to the story. And he's like, why not? And she's like, well, you know, Tommy never swung that way, you know? And then suddenly Remus is like, like, what is this conversation? I thought we were talking about Tommy, and suddenly I'm feeling like we're not talking about Tommy.
We're like, Tommy's out the window.
Yeah, he's like suddenly, I don't know.
That was smooth, Lily. Like butter.
She tried. But, so she's like keeping on going on about Tommy, but he's like staring at her like, what do you know? So, but anyway, he interrupts her and he's like, hang on one second. He's like, let me get this straight.
Let me get this straight. I'm not.
No, but he's like, this guy, this muggle who reminds you so much of me is not straight. And she's like, yeah, he's gay. And he's like, what? He's at this moment in time, he goes into full defensive mode and he does the thing that he's like, you don't see what's wrong with that? And she's like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being gay. He's like, no, there's nothing wrong with that. You're implying that he is like me and blah, blah, blah. He's like, what is happening here? She's like, that's the problem. And he gets really defensive. She did not expect this. She's like, oh, holy crap. I didn't mean to like offend you. Like, what is happening here? Okay. And like, he like gets up and he like storms out of the room. And she's like, holy crap. What did I just do? Did I just ruin this friendship? Blah, blah, blah.
Because you can compare a straight person to a not straight person, without it being like
that's what she was saying. She was like, gay. It'll be fine. But then he comes back like way too quickly. Like she expected him to be like out for a while, but he comes back. He like leaves her maybe 10 seconds and then comes immediately back in, sits exactly where he was before, and he goes, "Okay, so how did you figure it out?"
Poor little baby. Oh my god.
She's just like, I just went through a lot in the past minute and a half. Hold on.
Yeah. Rewind.
But yeah. And she's like, yeah. So she's just like, her mouth open. She's like, okay. She's like, well, frankly, she's like, Tommy is real. Like, you do remind me of my friend Tommy, who this exact thing. She's like, so yeah, you did kind of always remind him of me. I mean, remind
her of him.
Yes, remind her of him. And then she's like, yeah, like I thought that a little bit, but I didn't really take it seriously until yesterday. And he's like, what happened yesterday? And she's like, you blushed way too hard when Sirius told you he wanted to stay with you. And he is like horrified. He's like, no, like head in hands. He's like, no, you do not know about Sirius. You do not know about that. And she was like, well, I kind of do.
Fun fact.
Yeah, she's like, fun fact, that is how I figured it out. So funny.
Anyways.
Oh my gosh. Anyway. But anyway, so anyway.
Anyways.
But yeah. He's like, literally, he's like, you could ruin my life with this information. She's like, I won't tell anybody ever.
Oh.
And she's like, for sure. But he's like, I cannot believe that you know that I have a crush on Sirius. Like, that was like the biggest secret I've ever had in my entire life. It's embarrassing to have a crush on Sirius, frankly, because Sirius thinks that he is all that. He's like one of those kinds of crushes where you're like,
yeah.
no, but he thinks he's like so cool and everything like that. And she's like, you do not have a crush on Sirius. He's like, maybe I do have a crush on Sirius. It's so funny.
Funny story. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, you're over here simping for this mysterious dude. And he's like, well, he's actually not mysterious to me. He kind of tells me everything. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, you're literally joking. Oh yeah. So he's like telling her like every single frustrating part. He's like venting. He's like, okay, no, this is like so bad. He's like, I freaking sleep in the same room as him. Like, this is not something that I can get over, and I can't get over it, and it's like kind of an issue. And she's like, why are you feeling the need that like you need to get over this? Like, I feel like it's fine.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, but he's not into guys. And she's like, well, I don't know. But she's like, I don't know. And she's like, even if he's not, he like still very clearly cares about you. So like, I don't know. She's like, I feel like you should just let it be. And then like, because trying to get over him is not working for you. So just like vibe with it, see what happens.
Been there, buddy.
You have been there.
Been there.
But she's like, and hey, like now you've got somebody to talk to about it. So maybe it'll be a little bit less frustrating because, you know, you're not completely alone with this. And he's like, yeah, facts.
Because like, especially when it's someone that you're like really close to, because that's like, you can't tell them about it, you know?
Yeah, it's like, what do you do there?
Oopsie. Oopsie daisy.
Do you speak from experience?
Definitely not. Like, definitely not.
You actually, yeah. I'm gonna have to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this. It's like, so I accidentally wrote this entire episode about Nicole, and I didn't realize it until we were discussing it, and that's why there's so many weird commentary things. But anyway, so then after this whole thing, like they talk about this the entire night. Like they have like their prefix stuff to be doing and everything like that.
Oh, right.
And they're just doing it together. They've been doing their essays together, like everything. And so like Remus does not get back until late because he's been talking about this with her and stuff like that. Uh-oh. And when he gets back,
he's like probably like up like waiting for him or something. Where have you been?
Oh my gosh. But no, he's like, so Remus comes back later than usual. And he's like expecting everybody to be asleep, but Sirius is not really asleep. But he does look like he's literally just woken up. Like he heard him come up the steps and was like, I'm awake type of thing, you know? But he's like, and Remus is like, oh, I'm sorry, you can like go back to sleep. Like I didn't mean to wake you up. And he's like, no. He's like, I was trying to stay awake here, bestie, because I have a bone to pick with you. And Remus is like, what if I'm tired and I don't like what if no? And Sirius is like, no. He's like, I finished the book. And he's like, you started the book like a day ago. And he's like, yeah, but I finished it because I wanted to talk about it with you. And it's I know. But he's like, okay, so he's like, beside the point, you didn't tell me that one of them like dies at the end. And he's like so angry about this, and he starts telling him about this. So he's passionate. Like, you told me that they like, I was fully expecting them to end up together. And like Remus is like laughing, and Sirius is very upset by this. But yeah, they both like get really loud and like wake up like Peter and James, who are in the room too, and they're like, guys, go to sleep. So they're like both like sitting up in like Sirius's bed, which is like a thing because they had like the canopy beds in Hogwarts. So they're both sitting up in there and they're talking about this book, and they have like a little like what?
This is kind of fruity.
It is a little. But they used to do stuff like this too, just like talk about their problems like late at night, but now they're like talking about something fun or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, they have like a silencing charm up so everybody else can sleep, and they just like talk like that. And at some point while Sirius is like animatedly explaining how he thinks that the book should have ended, Remus is like, well, crap. I'm never going to get over this man, am I? And that's the end of the episode. Yeah.
Is it continue in the next episode?
Yeah.
All right. I'll be here. Not here, but I'll be watching.
You're going to pick up here and you're going to watch everything else just so you get this relationship.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so invested.
I'm so glad that you like it. I really am so glad. You gotta.
Oh, sorry. I was really trying hard to connect the dots at first because I have a really short attention span.
Mhm.
I have trouble focusing, but I was like, Mary,
Yeah.
Julie,
Yeah.
Lily.
Mhm.
See, from there, that little section, I was like,
You got it.
really going in my brain. If you
Mhm.
watch, you can probably see me being like,
Yeah.
And it just got easier. After
Yeah.
the info was given,
Yeah.
so not as scary as
I'm glad that you liked it, but no, I didn't. I realized this. I finished writing it, and I was like, this might be a little bit too close to home for Nicole.
Also,
I was
you were
like-
definitely like Lily.
Aw, thank you. That's a
Welcome.
compliment in my opinion.
Wow.
So yeah, so you have that answer more fully fleshed out now. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that I feel like I need to explain to you now? Oh yeah, so the whole like animagus thing that I was talking about earlier.
Mhm.
So it's like when Remus became a werewolf, or no, not when Remus became a werewolf. Remus has always kind of been a werewolf since he was like 7. He got bitten by a werewolf. Kind of sad, kind of not fun. It's kind of very terrible for him. So
Okay.
because his friends like care for him so much, they decided to become what are called animagi, and it means that they can turn into animals so that they can be with him.
They're not alone.
Yeah. Isn't that sweet?
It is.
Yeah. So that's like, yeah. That's like a canon thing though. So yeah. But yeah, that's why their nicknames are Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs, because Mooney
Oh my goodness.
you're like, this is a lot for me. But
This feels
Mooney
like
is
the beginning of the episode again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop.
No,
But no. So Mooney is like the werewolf,
Right.
like Moon, and then Wormtail is like the rat, and then Padfoot is the dog, which is Sirius, and then Prongs.
It is serious.
Yes, and then Prongs is the stag, which is James. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And if you watch more of the Harry Potter movies, you would see that like Harry like inherits some of like his dad's like deer stuff.
It's a lot to unpack.
Anyway, there's a
Deer
lot
stuff.
there. But yeah, so I really enjoyed that episode.
Oh,
yeah.
same, broski.
But yeah, I think
Oh, wait to tell them my house.
Oh yes, we have to do a house reveal. So I don't know what y'all have been thinking about Nicole so far. I feel like you have given off like Hufflepuff vibes.
That's
to-
everybody
with
who
this
says.
because with this particular episode, because you're just like very excited. But no, actually, Nicole
not.
is.
I'm a Slytherin, guys.
Yes.
I don't feel like I am.
No, I feel like you are. You are like one of the most ambitious people that I've ever met. And you
Thank
had a
you.
lot like of just passion in general and stuff
Oh,
like that.
thanks.
So like you're like, the most Hufflepuff Slytherin I've ever seen, but for sure a Slytherin, So
That
yeah.
makes sense.
Anyway, we love Nicole. Anyway. But yeah,
Okay.
thank you so much for watching and listening and everything like that. Big shout out to Hamalia Black for doing the cover art and for Ben Wilson for doing the music. Really appreciate it. Could not do it myself. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye.